I've often
No.
told people to, best thing you can do is when you get a fly rod, try to slow down so much until you fail. Like try to go as slow as possible until it completely flops, and then because most people are just working way too hard and going way too fast
Yeah.
with stuff.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of BOC with Ketter. This is season 1, episode 17. And I do have another special guest with me today. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Tom Shank. I'm the owner and sole builder at Chippewa River Custom Rod.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just got to ask, what kind of beverage do you got in hand here this fine evening, Thomas?
Diet tonic water minus the vodka for 5 years now, 4 years now.
Amen. Nothing wrong with that. I'm drinking straight up orange juice right now. I just wanted a little something sweet and tangy and tastes delicious.
Oh, good.
That's awesome. Well, cool. So we'll go ahead and kick it off today. And obviously, we're talking about Chippewa River Custom Rods. So go ahead and start by telling us, how did you get started?
With building rods, I started as a young child, like probably 10 years old. My uncles used to build rods, and they kind of taught me how to build them. And I kind of went from there. I built them when I was young, went in the service, got out, and once I got out, then I started building, for myself, for relatives. Moved to northern Wisconsin in 2002, and then that's when I started Chippewa River Custom Rod, just kind of as a sideline to fill in gap time. I opened a bar that had been closed for many, many years. I was also a home wrapper for St. Croix fishing rods at the time, for a short couple of years.
That's awesome. 10 years old, you were starting to
Yeah,
make
that's
your
about
own.
when I built my first one. I'm figuring as I was right around 10 years old. So
That's very impressive.
a lot of stuff has changed. It's changed quite a bit, but not really
Yeah,
all that much.
that's incredible. That's incredible. I do want to thank you for your service as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's very, very, very awesome. That's insane. 10 years old. That's one of the coolest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That is,
It was
yeah, I
that and
can imagine.
tying bucktail jigs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now I'm mostly fly rods, but back then it was mostly, gear stuff. It was more towards gear stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So what inspired you to start building custom fly rods? I mean, you kind of already said your relatives kind of got you into it, but what kind of really got that inspiration kicked into you?
Um, we're Chippewa. I guess my real specialty is musky fly rods, and it was just because at the time in the early 2000s there were none, and I just started going from there and kind of developing stuff, just because it's such a weird animal. As far as it's probably the only. It's probably the only fly fishing pursuit where you actually retrieve all the line back in every single time you cast.
Hmm.
And you don't figure eight in any other, aspect of fly fishing. So it was designing rods for that and throwing the larger flies. It was a gap that needed to be filled, and I filled
Yeah.
it, and hopefully I filled it well.
I think so. I think you did. I've never musky fished on the fly rod. Definitely something I eventually want to get into. I love going after northern pike. That's definitely something I very much enjoy, but I've never taken that next step up. So it seems like it's very popular right now. So that's very cool that you can say you contributed to that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been I worked with Robert Holmes for a while, I guided him a couple times when he was writing his book, Muskie on the Fly. So I seen it there. Moved here the same summer. Brad Bowen moved to Wisconsin from St. Paul, Minneapolis area. So I knew Brad real close, and just kind of worked with the local fly fishing guides and individuals trying to figure out stuff that would work. Searching and just doing goofy stuff, the extended 5-inch fighting butts, stuff like that. People actually thought it was for two-handed casting, but originally
Yeah.
that wasn't the intent. there's gotten to be more two-handed casting in it now. As flies have gotten bigger and bigger. I mean, back then there weren't even really a lot of musky specific flies. Bill Shear was doing a lot of stuff, but there were no commercially available flies like
Oh,
there are now. Everything
oh,
was kind of
interesting.
more saltwater type stuff is what people were using, and on the smaller side, on the like the biggest of the pike stuff is what, and also what they would use. But
Dang, that's very interesting. I didn't know that. That's very cool.
gotten
Very cool to
crazy.
see how something's progressed.
Yeah, and it's really gotten crazy. It was mostly small river fish. Smaller rivers that were being fished at the time. And
Hmm.
I mean, I designed fly rods maybe 5, 6 years ago that, me and Dan at Muskie Fool kind of laughed at them. Like, this thing is ridiculous. And then as the flies have gotten larger and crazier, it's like Dan's like, we need to break that back out again. We need to re-examine that. One of the fly rods SA just designed a line for last winter. So it's actually fishable now, but that's an 800 grain line for it, but there wasn't an 800 grain cold water line at the time.
I'm sure not. Yeah.
But now there is one.
Huh.
Now the rod works.
There you go. There you go. That's unreal. That's very cool. Was there a moment when you realized, like, this is more than a hobby and it's something that you can, like, take and put your whole life's work into? Did you ever kind of have that moment?
Um, yeah, and it was kind of like a quick decision actually, and I didn't know if it was going to be a viable full-time job at the time. I think like lots of things when guys jump into their full-time business, they don't know if it's going to work. I was running the bar. It was 2020. Closed down for the
Yeah.
pandemic. Right when they closed things down, and then as we all know, Wisconsin was just kind of especially northern Wisconsin was kind of the Wild West. Um,
Oh, yeah.
for like the entire summer, it was just insane as far as the amount of people in the area. It was like it was holiday, like 7 days a week all summer. Um, Not so much always in the tavern, but as far as people in the area, there was a lot of people in the area. Not all of them were coming out. It was normal, and then once fall came, it was the I could go look at a calendar and tell you the exact date, but I know that it was the Thursday before the week, not right before deer hunting season started, but the Thursday before that. Um, and Wheel of Fortune had just started. I had one customer in the tavern, and another one called me. Another local regular called me, and because things up here really slowed down, and it's mostly local. People were really getting sick when they turned their heating on. Uh, Most people didn't, stay inside. I didn't run my air conditioning all summer long at the bar. I just left the doors, the windows open, called it good. And not a lot of
Right.
people were getting sick. And he called me, and I was getting close to 50% of my regulars were going to the hospital. He said he's going to the hospital, and
Really?
I was like, okay, well, good luck. I hope you feel better. And then I called the girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, this customer that's here usually leaves after Wheel of Fortune. I said, and I'm closing. I'm just going to build fishing rods from now on. Are you willing to pay the bills if it doesn't work for a while? Because I was selling a lot of fishing rods, and it wasn't worth staying open. So that's how I closed it, and I literally didn't open another day after that. That was the end of it. There was no closing down party, nothing. Threw all the beer out that I had, and what I didn't drink all went bad. I drank all the Angry Minnow up, but all the rest of it, all the Bud Light and all that other stuff, I just drained it, called it good. Still got all the booze actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
And then I seen how much I
That's a
drank, and then I quit drinking too. So
Hey, so just
didn't have any
blessing,
customers to
blessing
blame
come
anymore.
blessing.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so that's
That's
kind of how I went full time.
that's a
That's
very cool
exactly how I
story.
went full time on it. So
Yeah.
but
And yeah, one full
I was
time.
really busy with it, so then I just focused more on it, and it was doable. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's a great story. That's one of the coolest stories I think I've ever heard. And yeah, like getting sober too on top of it. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
It was
sure.
just a pandemic thing that happened, and I didn't intend on it at the time. Didn't know if I still hold the liquor license. I switched it from the bar over to the fishing rod company now holds the liquor license in our township. We have too many in our little township, so if it lapses, they lose it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So I keep it going.
Interesting.
I think
That's cool.
myself.
What would you say?
I think there's one other. I can't remember it. Midwest. Drawn a blank on it, but there is another fly shop that has a liquor license in this state. But I think I'm the only fishing rod building company that has a liquor license in this state. But I know there's a fly shop that has one. Tom Landry has it. I can't remember the name of it off the top.
Okay.
Midwest Waters, maybe.
Sure.
Something like that. So yeah.
That's super, super cool. That's a great story. Do you think it was, have you noticed a big difference from like when you weren't full time to now you're like full time? Do you find that the passion's still there, or does it sometimes feel more like work?
It feels like work, but it's good work. I enjoy. Don't do any advertising or anything like that. Don't do any ads or anything like that. I would rather have 500 customers that buy a rod once a year, every 2 years, than to be out marketing for new customers every year. I'd rather take care of the ones that I have, get to know them, and then they get to know me and my process, and then I know what they like, and keep it like that, and kind of keep things smaller. I think people think I'm a larger company than what I am, because I have people.
I thought that. Yeah.
You thought that?
I did. Yeah, I definitely did. Yep. I was like, oh, this. I thought you were like a massive company, and I was like, oh,
no, it's just me
sweet.
inside of a little 32 by 32 log cabin bar that was built in 1928. Is where I build them now. So,
that makes me like it even more. That's very special in today's world, having that connection.
I'm the only one that orders anything.
Mm-hmm.
Do all the paperwork, do all the shipping, do all the the packaging. Anything that gets touched, or if you buy a rod from me, no one else has touched the rod except for myself.
That's amazing. There's nothing better.
It's kind of been my signature. I had one kid from the local high school that came in as an intern for a little while. He has since moved on, graduated, but he just more like came in and seen what I did and how I did it, and maybe helped me unpackage some stuff from time to time. But I don't know, I've just never trusted, and probably because I started during the pandemic, I never trusted having an employee, because I figure once I get employees, then I got to count on that guy coming in and getting work done. Because if I give someone my word, it's going to get done on that timeline that I say. And if I'm counting on others to do the work, well, then I can't really 100% control that. Call me a control freak on that end of it.
That's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. That just means you're delivering good service.
Yeah.
And that's what people appreciate more than anything, I'm sure. So that's awesome. That's very cool. Well, okay, so I'm gonna break it down a little detail for you. So, what are some of the most important details or features anglers overlook when they're buying a fly rod?
It's weird. Like for me with the musky stuff, people are always, and I probably should list what grain weights work with my rods or whatever. But man, people are all over the board. I think people especially with the fly rods, they kind of need to know themselves as far as where they fit in. You know what I mean? Because different strokes for different folks. Everyone casts a little different. Most guys I can say, yeah, you want to use around this. I get asked what lines and reels, and I just think even no matter what the rod is, from whatever company I've tried casting their rods, it's just a matter of really taking your time and feeling how the rod works. And I think a lot of people try to push things maybe, or I don't know how to describe it. They try to push things or make a fly rod. I don't know if you've ever experienced it. I've often told people to, best thing you can do is when you get a fly rod, try to slow down so much until you fail. Try to go as slow as possible until it completely flops, and then because most people are just working way too hard and going way too fast
Yeah.
with stuff, I find.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that.
Yeah,
I've been
in the heat of
been
the
guilty of
moment or
that.
excitement, it happens, and you can see it when people are, it's like for trout. When you're out doing trout, and you see a huge fish rising, how many times do you muff up the cast because because you push it, you know what I mean? You don't take your time.
Absolutely,
As
yeah.
far as for
That's very
looking for rods, and it's something I'm starting to get more into now, and I think it should be more looked at, is I'm going to start doing custom sizing of handles.
yeah. Okay.
Seems to me it seems to me something that fishing rod industry, especially fly rod industry, casting rods and spinning rods, you're not really in contact with the rod quite as much. But man, it's a lot of stress, especially with the bigger fly rods on your hands and your forearms. With the smaller trout rods, maybe not quite as important, but
Yeah.
fishing rods are the only outdoor sporting good item where they kind of say, well, screw you, this is the size handle you get.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
baseball bats are all different sizes. Golf club grips are all different sizes. Everything else has sizes. Fishing rods, no, this is what you get. So,
Yeah.
getting
That's a
more
good
into
point.
that, and it's been kind of a fun thing. Going to be interesting to see how to implement it, but that's one of my plans for 2026 is implementing it more, making it more available and more known. I think it would really help if more people had simple digital calipers and knew what their foot
Yeah.
grip was. You know what I mean? And get me these specs. I can make it. I can match
Okay.
one you
Yeah.
have on your shelf. So yeah. So that's
That's
kind of
sweet. I
where
like
I'm
that.
going with stuff. But as far as overlooked, it's really about what people can cast. The dollar amounts that you pay for a rod. Yeah, some of it's worth it. Some of it's not, maybe. You know what I mean? It depends on
Yeah.
what you got to spend too. I've seen some of your specials where you did your garage sale special and went brown trout fishing with it, and it worked.
It worked. I love that rod. I still use
Yeah,
it.
I think um, one big thing is making sure that the company can take care of you after the sale. I guess sort of. There's been some blank manufacturers that I've stopped working with just because their times to get replacement sections and stuff, like, I don't feel comfortable with it. I like to get my warranty replacement stuff, and most of it's not a true warranty. It's more like an oops, shit, I broke it, or you know what I mean. Stuff that's really truly warrantyable. It's usually going to go on the first fish or two. Otherwise, it's probably kind of angler error or something that happened along the way that people
Yeah.
didn't realize. But being able to get replacement stuff, if
Hmm.
something breaks, I think is one thing that's often overlooked, especially with some of the lower end stuff. You kind of get that, but there's some great companies that are selling very inexpensive rods too.
There is. There is.
So it's more about enjoying your stuff, and making sure that you can cast it, and that the individual angler enjoys it more than.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that
you
advice.
know. And,
Yeah. I think that's
and if
great
you're
advice. I
going
think.
saltwater, make sure it's saltwater safe. But most most modern fishing rods are freshwater and saltwater, applicable for both. I know mine are. I think it'd be hard pressed to find one that isn't. I think most companies are using stainless steel guides on their frames and stuff like that. And that's the only part that wouldn't be saltwater compatible, really, is the guides and the reel seat. But most of that stuff's all stainless is made with stainless steel these days. So
Right. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. No, I like that. Yeah, I like the hand grip idea. I think that's great. I have really small hands, like very small hands. So like for me, I buy a rod and it's like, well, this is way bigger than what my hand is. So I love that you're exploring that route. Yeah.
yeah, and it's something that can be done with, like, you could do it with your own rods. If you put it into
Yeah.
you could put it into chuck it up, not in a drill. You probably wouldn't want to use a drill, but a power wrapper. You can, even after the grip's on, you can put it in a power wrapper and sand it down. I've done that for people when they've sent their rods back for warranty and stuff, and so
Really?
I've done it a few times where they're like, and I'm like, is there anything else I can do, on your rod for you? And they're like, well, the handle seems a little big. And I'd say, yeah, it's no problem. I can take it down for you. So,
Okay.
yeah. So it's even doable on rods that you do have. So if you do get a rod and you're up near the confluence of the Chippewa and the Flambeau, stop in the shop, we can sand it down and a metal.
All right, that's good to know.
Taken care of. So, yeah.
That's very good to know. Because, yeah, I use a lot of, one of my favorite little rods is literally like a kid's rod. And I like it because the hand is so small and it just fits my hand. I'm like, I don't care. I love this.
Yeah, I had a good friend that he was one of my officers when I was in the service, and I built him a rod, and he said he absolutely hated it. And he's got some issues with his hands. But then we went out fishing, and I seen the rod he was casting, and I'm like, oh dear God, don't tell me you like that more than the one I got. And I started looking at the grip size, and I'm like, oh, I see what the problem is. So then I shaped his grip to match the grip on that rod, and he had a different perspective on the rod, and then performed for him. Yeah. So I think there's a lot to that, especially you notice it with you have smaller hands, and I'm sure with women it's kind of more of an issue. I don't know how. So does the rod that you have, is it like a streamer rod? Is it a full Wells grip or a half?
So yes, full Wells. Yeah, it's a little 7-foot 3-weight. It's TFO and it's little. I like it a lot. I use it mostly for dry flies right now, or not right now, but during the season I use it mostly for dry flies. Yeah, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that's what they really like about their favorite rod is probably actually the handle. And
it's
they
very
don't
important.
Realize it. They don't realize why they like that one so much. Well, I just like it.
Exactly. It took me a while to get used to it being 7 feet. I was like, this is bizarre. But after about a month of steady using it, I was like, oh, I feel so comfortable and confident with this. And
so
now when I go back.
So you had to get used to so you like the grip. And then you had to get used to the blank.
Yeah, big time.
What you're saying?
Yeah. And then you go back to 9 foot, and it's like, oh boy, that's different.
And I'm assuming the action on that TFO is probably, and especially since you're saying it's a less expensive rod, it's a slower action rod.
Very much so. Yeah.
Which is kind of always one of my other pet peeves about fly rod companies is on the slower action rods. I know, especially for St. Croix when I worked with them, and I think you can pretty much see it across all lines until you get to the real high end stuff. When they go to their slower action rods, they use a lesser grade component on it. You know what I mean? Like the components aren't as nice on it. And I've always stuck with one line of components across all series of my rods. As far as the moderate action, fast action, extra fast action on my trout rods, I have the same components on all of them.
I like that.
Yeah, and I've seen, for instances, and I hate bringing up St. Croix all the time, but that's who I have knowledge with and who I worked for. But on certain series of their rods, as a builder, the price difference on the blank was only like $10. But to go from one level to the next, both rods warranted for life, to go from one level to the next, you're talking $150 price difference, when there's a $10 price difference in the blank. But they're both warranted for life. So to get that next step up in blank, you got to buy what I would say is $150 worth of components that they don't think is. Yeah, they're nicer, but they're willing to warranty both levels of components for life. So they must both use the components, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like going to titanium components. Very expensive, yeah. A little bit lighter, but is it worth that money? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever exported the bamboo world much?
No, I've never gotten into doing the bamboo or even thought of it.
Yeah.
Just a whole different skill set that I don't have at the time. And I don't. It's coming back. There's more and more people are into it. But yeah, I haven't. It's something I've never really explored.
I've never used one in my life. I'd like to try one someday, just to try it, but never came across one.
Yeah, I've seen so many of them. People ask me, what they're. I get a lot of people asking what they're worth, and I hate to. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's. I don't want to tell them, yeah, it was my grandpa's, and what's it worth?
Right.
It's like, well, it's worth nothing, really, because there were 1,000 million of them made. There's a lot of that out there. There was very few like real high end crafters out there. Yeah, and I just don't know much about them. They've kind of
Yeah.
phased out for the most part. There's some niche markets that do it still, but not a lot that I'm even aware of.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Do you have a personal favorite build that you built over your time? Maybe something that means special to you, or just one that sticks out?
As far as my personal, like a personal build,
Yeah, yeah, person. Yeah,
as far as like production stuff, I think my favorite to make, um, just because I feel it's probably the best all around rod, is a 9 foot 10 weight 2 piece rod. Um, I really got known. I sold some 1 piece rods at the beginning of when I first started out, but shipping issues are really, it's tough to ship a 1 piece fishing rod around the country.
I bet it is.
Yeah, they perform great and everything. Dustin Hines was a big fan of my 1 pieces, and he wanted another one. I didn't have any, and talked him into trying a 2 piece, and he said he thought he liked it. He might like it even better. And the nice thing about it is that if you break it, most rods break in the tip section. You don't have to replace the whole rod. You only have to replace half of it.
True.
But the modern 4 piece fly rods perform darn near as well as the 2 piece rods do. Big thing in the musky fly fishing is that they will break if the sections start to loosen. They snap, especially with the weight of the fly and the weight of the lines. They snap every time if they're loose. I actually started putting a stripe on the top. Nope, I don't have a completed one laying around right now. I could go dig one out.
I think I've seen that on some of the pictures.
I started
you posted.
putting.
I think what you're talking about.
What was that?
I think I've seen that on some of the pictures you posted with that little stripe.
Yeah, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it happened up at Treelands. I was talking to a guy, and I was kind of laughing with him about, the alignment dots on fly rods, saying, and they're on the bottom side of a rod, and I'm like, man, if you need alignment dots, are you sure you should be fishing? You might want to be going to the doctor, or at least the eye doctor, if you can't tell if your things are lined up.
Yeah.
Talking, it's like, it'd make more sense if it was a stripe. And then if you see a gap in the stripe, you know that your sections are coming apart. So I started putting stripes on the top side at on all the ferrules, and I honestly bet my breakage dropped 80 to 90% with just that one addition on the musky fly rods. I don't do it on the trout stuff or anything like that. It's just not that necessary, but on the heavy stuff I do, and it really cut down on a lot of breakage.
Interesting. Good. Yeah. Yeah, I would assume with such a big fish, that's got to be very important.
Mostly during the casting is when it happens.
Oh,
Is
okay.
when it happens, because the ferrules come loose during the casting, and they stress it. And what happens is those 2 pieces, it causes it. If imagine it being inside of there, then instead of touching along that whole length, it's only on the one part and the one part on 2 little parts, and then that's what causes the snap. And you can always tell if they're loose because it snaps inside of what should be covered up. If it snaps,
Sure.
like you get a rod back or you break a rod and it's like within that ferrule section, that little length at the end of the female or in the small end of the male. If it's broken near the ends of those, yeah, it was a loose ferrule that caused that break.
Okay. Interesting.
Because they kink inside of each other.
Okay.
Kind of like if you took a small piece of PVC and put it inside of a larger piece of PVC and then bent them, it snaps there, compared to like getting two that are the same size and putting them together. They actually strengthen each other then, but if they're slightly apart in different sizes, it'll kink and break. Yeah.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Very cool. Very cool. I'm learning a lot. This is very cool. So another question for you. Where do you see Chippewa River Custom Rods heading in the next few years?
I'm hoping to actually start doing a few more trout rods and bass rods. Maybe pushing more, since I'm known for the musky stuff, pushing more into that section and just in the streamer end of it.
Yeah.
Since, musky rods are kind of streamer rods, it kind of goes along with that reputation I have for those. So
I like it.
yeah, and
I
then I'm
love
just going
streamer.
to keep, I'm going to keep plugging away here myself at doing it, and I am 54 now, and I'm going to give it at least another 15 years, I figure. So
Heck yeah.
yeah.
That's a long time. There's a lot that can happen in 15 years, right?
And we might not even be fishing in 15 years. Who knows? Live scope
This
might
is
take
true.
them all out. Who knows? Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother story, whole nother world.
Yeah,
That is
there's
crazy.
an issue, huh? But,
Oh yeah, you could say that 3 times over.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, I got a couple more questions for you. Some more fun fishy questions. What is your dream fly fishing destination? I know that's a really tough question, but what would you say that would be?
I don't know if I have one. I did Belize, and actually I did Belize in the year, I think it was 2000. Might have been 2001. I went down there. It was pretty crazy. It was still pretty primitive down there when we went at that point in time. I think it's expanded quite a bit. I know they were opening their first movie theater in the country when we were there. It was big excitement for them. We were staying at the hotel where they were opening a movie theater, and it was the first one in the country as far as if I remember correctly.
That's
Yeah, I
incredible.
kind of had my dream destination for fishing, and I'm blessed. I live right on the Chippewa, right near the confluence of the Flambeau. So I kind of get it pretty good, and I should probably fish more than what I do. But it's always going to be better tomorrow. It'll be nicer tomorrow. The river level will be better tomorrow. So. But yeah, I usually get out fishing at least 5, 6, 7 times a month. Usually not for long, but I mostly actually fish smallmouth
Do you?
in the rivers. Yeah, it's less of a commitment as far as time wise. The muskie thing is going to be an all day long thing. I'll do that in the fall. When some friends come to town, go out with them, get a guide. Take the whole day to do it. But otherwise, I'll just go target, an hour or two in the evening or in the middle of the day or during the morning or whatever. But yeah, usually I'm building rods pretty much 7 days a week. So it's kind of, I don't work an 8-hour day by any means. And I kind of pick and choose my hours because I don't really have any retail hours. So if you're planning on swinging by the shop, please give a text or a call the day before. And I can make a time work. I can be here, but I never know when I'm going to be here. But I can be here whenever. I live right across the parking lot, like I said. Yeah, it's my old bar, and that's where I'm sitting, and that's what I do. So,
Man, that is a dream right there. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's incredible. Do you get out and do a little bit of trout fishing? I know we were gonna go this last summer a little bit. I know you got out a little bit. Do you try to get out when you can, or is that kind of tough?
Trout fishing, not as much. It's a little bit more of a commute to get to any trout water fishing. I'm originally from the cities. When I lived in the cities, I trout fished a lot. I trout fished, I think, close to 150 days one year. There was like 4 years where I hit it pretty heavy on the Rush River, most of the time up by Martell. But I worked a night job, so as soon as I got off work, I'd get off work at about 3, 4 in the morning. I'd just cruise over there and crash off for a couple hours till the sun came up, and then I'd fish till I got tired, and then I'd go home and go to sleep, and then I'd go back to work that night. It's kind
That's
of
awesome.
lived life for a
Yeah,
few summers. So,
I'd say so. I'd say so.
but yeah, I
Yeah, I've
did get
spent
out.
that.
I did sneak out with August West, and
Yeah,
we went to some old haunts that I used to have that surprisingly hadn't changed at all in the 23 years that I hadn't been there. Not a
that's
single
awesome.
house on that stretch. I'm not saying the name of the stretch, but
Yeah,
it was good to it was good to see. I was very, very surprised.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good to hear that it hasn't changed. That's very important,
Yeah,
I think.
there were a couple more browns up in the area than it used to be. It used to be all brookies, but there were a couple browns. He caught a dandy brown up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise it was looked like the last time I'd set foot there. So, and that would have been 2002 was the last time that I was on that creek, and it was still the same.
Really?
Yep, yep. Yeah, I fished some of the smaller stuff up in the Blue Hills, but it's teeny it's teeny water up in the Blue Hills, up by Bruce, and tough to get some casting in. You know, it's small. It's 7 foot rods. You know, I got a 6'6" 2 weight. I got a 7'9" 3 weight, which
6'6"?
6'6" 2 weight. Yeah,
Dang.
it's pretty. It's kind of weird. You know, you're building 10 weights and casting 12 weights and bigger, and then to pick up the 2 weight, it's like, oh man, this is a change. You know, but
What?
yeah,
I need to try one of those someday. I feel like I'd like that.
yeah, it's a fun rod.
Cool.
Stop by the shop, pick it up, take it out.
That's
It's
awesome.
it's fun. They're all kind of you know, they're all. I enjoy casting almost as much as I do the fishing. As far as I just enjoy the act of casting.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
don't think I've ever picked up a rod that I didn't kind of like casting or figuring out how to cast. If that makes sense. Because they can all cast. It's just a matter of figuring them out. You know.
Even those, yeah, little $40, $50 kits you get at Fleet Farm, like that's how I started.
Yeah.
They work. Just got to figure them out.
Yeah, I think that's where I
That's
started too. I can't remember my first combo I had, but I'm sure that's exactly how I bought it. I probably bought it from Bass Pro Shop with newspaper money.
yeah.
You know, I know I didn't build my first one, but I know when I got out of the service, I built one of every St. Croix Legend Elite, the old green blanks. I built one of every model they had for myself. Some
Really.
expendable money, and yeah, so I built one of every one of them for myself. Just enjoyed
Dang.
kind of fishing them all, but it was mostly, I think most people end up in that 9 foot 5 weight range with
Yeah.
trout
Yeah.
fishing in Wisconsin. Even though
Yeah.
an 8 foot 6 4 weight's a pretty darn good rod. If you're just going trout, but that 5 weight gets you into a little bit more lake stuff. You can do some more water
Does.
stuff with it. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, you can definitely throw on some streamers on those 5 weights, no problem. It is a good rod to use in the driftless for the most part at 9.5.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Like you said, there's definitely ways you can kind of tamper off on that, and I'm starting to learn that too. It's like, okay, there's some other ways around this, and it gets a lot more exciting.
Yeah, yeah, and you can throw
Especially
some
with those
streamers with 4 weights and whatnot.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's
super fun.
surprising, how large of a fish you can handle on a lightweight rod. People are like, you can't 8 weight you can't fly fish muskies with an 8 weight, and it's like, yeah, but 10 weight fish and 12 weight fish tarpon. Is a
Yeah.
muskie you're gonna put up that is, but you do need it to throw the fly. That
Right.
10 and 12 weight, you do need it to throw the
Yeah.
fly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
I've
know
never-
a lot of
yeah, I've
people.
never personally-
8 weight was a great rod for muskie fishing back in the day, when the flies were smaller. But now that's kind of phased out.
Nice. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never casted anything over an 8 weight personally, so
It's
as
a
far
big
as I
jump.
yeah.
It's a big jump. Going from an 8 to a 10 is like going from, I say, from a 5 to an 8.
Boy.
Like it, if because going from a 5 to an 8 is kind of a shocking thing, and going from an 8 to a 10 is a shocking thing, and then going from a 10 to a 12 is also, that's a big jump too. Believe it or not, it's noticeable those two differences.
I bet it is. I bet it's insanely different.
Yeah,
That is cool though.
yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. One more question for you. Another kind of fun one.
Hmm.
If you could build a rod for any angler, past or present, who would it be?
I haven't. I don't even. I wouldn't have a clue
That's fair. That's a fair
really
answer.
on who it would be. Maybe flip palette. It would be tough. It'd be interesting to build it for any of them. I kind of like it when people hit me up and are like, "Here's the problem I have: is I can't.
Yeah.
This is what I want. That's what I like to build for. It wouldn't be for targeting anything, or I don't think I can build a perfect rod for everyone, but I think I could build a perfect rod for anyone, given the time and you know what I mean, sitting down and working with somebody and having, if it came down to it, having them come out and cast different stuff and to get a baseline feel for where they're at.
Yeah. I
That's
like
more
that.
kind of my gig is, and that's why I like, having repeat customers because they know what it is. They can describe what they want a little different, and it can be changed. So
I like it. That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
yeah.
Awesome.
So
Well, cool,
yeah.
Thomas. Those were all my main questions. Is there anything else you want to go over today?
Not much. Not really. Just people should get out and enjoy fishing.
They should.
Try out a custom builder. Don't be afraid. I know sometimes they've gotten bad. I don't know if they've gotten a bad rap or if people don't have as much trust in them because they don't have the reputation or whatnot.
Yeah.
But just kind of do the research. I mean, most of these guys are using blanks and components from, quality, well-known companies that have been around. So it's just and with the internet these days, you can pretty much see if guys are building good stuff or not. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Guys ain't gonna last long if they're putting stuff together not in a good fashion. They don't.
Agreed.
They won't be around long.
Agreed. Not in our day and age. That's for
No,
anything, right?
no. And maybe
That's
try
for sure.
building your own rods.
Yeah, it would be fun one day. It's definitely on my bucket list. Definitely
Yeah,
on my bucket list. Way down the road.
yeah. I encourage people if they got questions, they can call me if they're building their own rods. I'll give people tips. It's not, there's a great rod building forum on Facebook. The Custom Rod
Hmm.
Builders group's great. If someone's wanting to start off building stuff, you don't need all the power wrappers and stuff like that. I don't even use a power wrapper. My wrapping station is so silly, people would laugh. Here, I've got my thing sitting on it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's
Oh yeah,
pretty
we can see it.
much
Yeah.
just simple. I can't see where my things are. I just have a little bobbin that holds
Oh,
my
yeah.
thread, and that's literally what I use for tying. It's not very much. When I worked for St. Croix, when I was a commercial tyer for St. Croix, they don't use power wrappers. They found hand wrapping to be faster. And I personally enjoy it. I like feeling each rod under my hands too, kind of. You know what I mean? You can feel the tension of the line compared to using a foot pedal, and
Yeah.
it's the popular way to do it now. I do use motors for doing all my finish work and stuff like that, but all the wrapping I still do by hand. But yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Even better.
Well,
I love it.
you don't need to go out and spend a ton of money to build a fishing rod. You could probably still do it at your kitchen table with a textbook and a spool of decent thread. To be honest with you.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet.
Some
I'm gonna
razor blades,
definitely
a
give
little
it a
bit of
try.
knowledge. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah,
But if you
YouTube
want to pick it up,
and
give
yeah,
a shout. Be more than
I'm
happy.
gonna give it a try someday. Yeah, I really want to. I think it's the coolest thing to just make your own stuff with anything really. So that's very cool.
Yeah, and now with the availability of knowledge,
Yeah, that's it.
being at the keyboard, someone put it on YouTube how to do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's pretty easy to see, and just I encourage people to do it and take their time when they do it. It's not an easy process, but nothing's final until you put the epoxy on it, and even then, it's not final. You can still cut it all off and start over again.
True.
So,
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good winter activity. I don't ice fish, so that's something I
Yeah.
would definitely like to get into.
I used to. I haven't been able to in the last couple of years. Once those couple bad winters where it was a lot of slush on the ice, I kind of was like, yeah, I ain't going out there again.
Same. Same. I'll stick around. I mean, you can do catch and release after January in Minnesota and Wisconsin for the most part. So I'll
Yep.
still get out when I can, but you know, it's tough when it's dark at 5 o'clock or 4:30.